Hello, Tony. How are you?
Hey, man. What second?
It's been
What's
such a long time.
I know. How are you keeping?
Um, well, it's been very up and down. So I've had some positives, and I think um, I'm kind of anxious because I've been living with my parents for the past maybe 8 months.
Oh wow.
So I'm actually not. So I'm not. So where I'm speaking to you from now, I'm actually in Plymouth,
Oh wow. Okay. You're
um,
in Bristol.
and
Mm.
because of when the government announced the second lockdown, I was like, right, I've got to be around people.
Yeah.
So I live,
Yeah.
I live very much on my own in Bristol.
Oh, I see. Yeah, it's important. I'm glad you're around your family. That's a.
Yeah. Oh man, it's been really weird because I've also had like stuff happening like with all the paintings taking off, which has been that's been kind of surreal.
Yeah, I'd imagine. I'd imagine so.
But
But I mean,
how's stuff? I mean, how's stuff been with you?
uh, 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 same up and down, as expected. I'm a very conscientious type. I like
Mm,
to keep active, and not being able to be active has been as active as I'd like. Has been a bit stressful.
yeah.
But I've kind of embraced the quiet, embraced the slow pace
Mm,
ness of the whole thing. And luckily I'm in good health, and
yeah.
I live with my younger brother, and I don't live too far from my extended family over here. So it's been quite nice, actually, just hanging with my brother, making
Mm.
music at home, and seeing family and friends that live like nearby.
So
For
where are you based at the moment then?
I'm in
So
London,
where is home?
London, northwest in Edgware at the minute.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
That's quite a nice area to live, I think.
it's a lot quieter than like other parts. So I'm not
Yeah,
complaining. London can be very noisy, even in the pandemic. You know.
yeah. I can imagine actually, to be honest. I mean, I think that's going to be one thing which I'm going to have to relearn how to get used to is learning how to interact with people again.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Being around people, being around noise and crowds and all that. Yeah, I'm excited for it, but also it's yeah, it feels like it's gonna be like a learning curve again. It's like relearning all of that.
Yeah, and I very much feel that. I mean, I very much. I mean, I'm pretty much in the same boat because,
Yeah.
like, I mean,
Mhm.
like yesterday I had. I mean, I got booked to DJ one of my favorite festivals, which is Green Man Festival.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, that's one of my favorites.
Yeah, because I've been like a resident DJ with them for the past, I think, 20, for the past 4 years. I've been like kind of like, yeah, I've been DJ, I've been like,
Holy shit, that's a long time.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because I reckon the first time I would have seen you was Green Man 2015.
Yeah. Was it 2015? Yeah, it would have been 2015. That's crazy.
Yeah,
That's there. Did we met then, right? Or did we meet
yeah,
after?
we did.
We did meet there. Yeah, so that's the first time we met.
I know
Wow.
it's
That's
really crazy because that was the night before I saw you play as well.
yeah. We met the night before. I remember that.
So I remember like I was with my friend Sarah,
Sarah,
and
who's sorry, go on. Carry
yeah, no, I
on.
just remember being kind of like introduced to you, and I remember like kind of because I was always before I go to Green Man, if there's any new artists that I haven't heard,
Mm.
I'll always kind of listen to at least one song.
Yeah, definitely.
And I remember because you won the Green Man Rising competition, I was like, right, okay, you're the very first thing I've got to, and also if one of my friends picks someone up, then it's like, right, okay, I've got to go and check this out to see what I think.
Hmm. Hmm.
And
Yeah.
I mean, I was really blown away.
Oh, I appreciate that, man. I
I mean,
appreciate
but that's the reason why, like, like I've I've come to see you whenever you come into Bristol, just because of like I've been like, wow, okay, I want to experience this again.
I appreciate that, man. Yeah, and I really appreciate you coming to all the shows, and just everything you said has been greatly appreciated, man. You know, it's been very encouraging as well, like getting that kind of
Hmm.
feedback from you. Really, really
I
has been.
mean, because I feel for me, what I really like about your work is it feels like as if you're building worlds,
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
and it feels so. I was just wondering, like, do you have a certain specific place that you always write, or or like kind of, when you're doing like your compositions,
Mm-hmm.
do you have to be like, I guess, a certain mindset?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's just to get into the flow of things. So, if I'm having a writing day, which is most days, I try and do like maybe an hour of just practicing scales and, or practicing or playing different chords, new chords that I want to try out for the day. And,
Yeah.
that would be kind of like an entry point of like, okay, now I'm getting into the mood. But then I start
Mhm.
first. I work during the day. That's also a thing for me. It's like first thing in the morning. I start doing that until I finish in the evening. Only
Yeah.
stop for like to eat and stuff. But that just being in the zone throughout the day, it's that that really helps, like getting a lot of work out and then seeing what works and what doesn't work and
Hmm.
yeah.
Do you find that like working to a structure helps? Like as if like treating it like a 9 to 5 job sort of thing.
Yes, it does. It does. It's good to feel like you're having a work day for
Yeah.
me. Yeah, because you can for one, it's bad for my health if I'm 24/7 on the job doing music. Like,
Oh God.
recently, yeah, it's like I like to clock in at like what 7 a.m. or whenever I start, and then maybe I finish at 5.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I go 1 second. 1 second. Sorry.
Oh,
Sorry.
sorry.
So
I know always did.
people
But
being uh,
I think that's something really good to have, is to have that planned structure. Because I tend to find that being a creative person myself,
yeah.
sometimes I don't get things done
Hmm.
unless, like I have, like a structure of saying like, right, I've got to do this for 2 or 3 hours, but then I've got to somehow bring it to an end.
Yeah. Hmm.
Because
Hmm.
otherwise, I think you can find yourself going in a bit of a loop where you're overworking things.
You're overworking things, and then yeah, exactly. You make things worse.
Yeah.
You lose sleep because you're just like working all the time, morning till night. Like I could do that very easily. So that's why like
Mm.
working early is important, and just like, okay, I'm clocking out now and not thinking about it for
Yeah.
the rest of the evening.
I mean, do you have like an alarm clock which
No,
kind of goes off sort of thing?
no, I don't. It's kind of I just I'm just I try to just keep aware of the time of like, okay, I've been here
Yeah.
for 5 hours now. Maybe I should take a break or whatever it is. Um, but yeah, maybe I should
Yeah.
get an alarm clock just for that. Just be like, stop working, you maniac.
Or maybe what you should get yourself is, like those kind of clocking on machines in office that, like for like factory work. Get yourself like a clocking on machine,
Oh
clocking on,
yeah, just
clocking off, like
to
ticket
punch
machines
in
sort
and
of thing.
punch out. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's a good idea. Maybe I will. Maybe when I get my studio finally, I'll do that and just like punch in and punch out.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Where have you been recording your work? Because you've still been like, in my mind, you've still been like a really prolific artist because of
Oh,
like
gee.
looking at some of the amount of stuff that you put out even the past year or so.
Mm, mm. I mean, I'm very lucky in that I do the bulk of it at home, and then I kind of go into someone's studio to do like the final mixes. Sometimes I'll even do that at home too, if it's not like a very difficult song to mix.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No,
If it's not a
sorry.
very difficult song to mix, I'll just do that at home. But yeah, usually I'll start it at home, finish all the composition at home, all the musicality at home, and then I'll take it into studio to do the mix and mastering.
I
Yeah.
mean, I was wondering, like, if with your kind of whole approach, how do you layer things up? Do you start off with like a kind of a core group of notes, or like a kind of melodic idea and then kind of go from there. Because it seems like as if a lot of the songs are quite free flowing.
Yeah, it feels like that because it probably is like that, if that makes sense. It varies every time. Every song is different. Every song starts from a different point. Sometimes it might just be that I have the timbre of the sound, like the synth sound or the piano sound that I want to use, and it's like, okay, then I start from there and seeing like what notes sound the richest in this synth patch that I've made. Or it might be, I mean, recently I'm trying to write more just piano and vocal, and just get like a kind of the skeleton of a song down, so that, you know, like without all the theatrics and the electronics and stuff, like the song can still stand by itself.
Yeah.
So I've been trying to do that a lot more and just focusing on like vocal melodies and songwriting, just lyricism. That's been like the main thing right now, and that's been exciting me a lot because I think I'm getting better in that field. But yeah, it varies, man. It varies, you know.
I mean, like this to me, it's like it's really interesting that you are kind of trying to do stuff with much more pared down and actually kind of. I think it's you're allowing yourself to. Do you think you're allowing yourself to play more within your own boundaries and like explore the possibilities of what you can do?
What you mean? Could you explain that again? Sorry.
Oh, sorry, I'm just trying to think of off the top of my head.
Yeah, no,
Because
sorry.
what I mean by that is because quite often your sets are very kind of quite electronic and very like kind of free flowing, and so giving yourself like a limited like parameter of like going right, okay, I'm just going to write something just piano and vocals based. Do you think of like kind of, I guess it's like kind of strengthening your abilities within giving yourself parameters?
Yeah. I'm a big believer in like restrictions are liberation. They're liberating. So yeah, definitely. Because, you know, if I can just write a good song on the piano, and you know, or even like with 4 chords and a vocal, like, you know, I already have the prowess to put all the bells and whistles on it. So if it can stand by itself, that means I'm only going to enhance it more by adding other things, right?
Yeah.
And that's you know, that's really what I'm trying to be better at, rather than feeling like something's incomplete without the bells and whistles. Let it feel a bit more complete without that, and then I can expand and grow it and build it and take it to other places and do something new, you know. You know, because yeah, it's you know, there's so much, we all have, like, you know, especially musicians, there's so much access to so many ways of doing things, and you know, there's, you know, the potential is limitless, right, of what you can do. So I feel like, yeah, I feel like it's almost like an act of rebellion, or you know, it's you're doing a lot more by doing a lot less these days. Yeah.
I think that's a really refreshing thing to hear, you know, but the fact of like you're willing to like kind of go like, right, okay, I'm going to give myself these parameters, and it's also like kind of exploring like the depth and the possibilities within possibly even writing pop songs.
Exactly.
Because like if you can write a song that sounds great on like a basic or like a kind of like with a basic melody or like piano or like guitar or something, then you know it's going to sound great when you can layer up loads of different sounds.
Exactly. That's the point. Yeah.
And also the other thing is that I think sometimes then it also, from my opinion, it allows people to also reinterpret the songs in their own ways.
Okay.
So it's like maybe like you could look at some of your older songs and go like, right, should I reimagine doing this without?
Oh yeah, there's
necessarily
exactly
having
100%. That's exactly that's happening a lot now, where I'm revisiting old songs and seeing if I can just do it with just a piano or just the bass synth, and my vocals, stuff like that, just very bare, and just seeing where I can take things. And also just because I've gotten a lot better, a lot of those old songs, they have a lot of potential in them, but my skill set wasn't at the point that it could, I could realize that. So now it's like, oh, I can look at a song and say, you know what, that wasn't necessary, that wasn't necessary. And actually, if I did it this way and added this part and took out that part, I could have a much stronger piece. So yeah, that's also quite exciting. And especially like the first thing I put out, the in grayscale thing. So a lot of, I actually revisited that recently, and there's a lot of like really cool moments on there, like a lot of like really strong songs.
There's some beautiful stuff on there, and that's because of like, I mean, I remember like, I think that was one of the few purchases I made at Green Man, was actually buying that cassette tape.
The cassette tape? Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all gone. I wonder who has them now. That's a.
Well, I was speaking to one person who has one
copy. Yeah. I hope it serves you well, man. That's such a long time ago, man. That's crazy. It's good. It's good.
I mean, like, do you think that? I mean, I think it is sometimes good also to like reflect upon and revisit stuff that you've done in the past, but then it's also like kind of looking at how you could bring some of that and like maybe modernize it. Like, do you ever look back on some of your older songs and kind of see how you've matured as an artist?
Oh yeah, definitely. So many things. It's like, even like lyrically it's what I've been enjoying, like revisiting. It's like so much of what I used to write about, I would not dare to talk about now, just because it's I kind of feel it's a bit I mean, I was always afraid of sharing personal stuff before. And so a lot of this stuff was abstract, but when I kind of break it down and see like how I presented ideas lyrically, is, there was a lot of work that needed to be done. And now it's great to just see, oh, I can, say this in that way, and in a new way rather, like songs like Time Has, when I listen back to it, there are so many other ways I could have expressed what I was trying to express, of just, but I mean, even in saying that, it's still beautiful. The lyrics are still beautiful and still good, but it's just, I think
sorry, I'm just saying that I think it also reflects on how attitudes change when we grow older, maybe.
Yeah, 100%. You mature.
So I've definitely found I've definitely found even in the past 5 years that my attitudes have changed quite a lot. Whether that's like dealing with like maturity, or like, like whether it's, like kind of things, just seeing my friends change and then like going, wow, okay, so like whether it's like some of my friends being trans or like whatever kind of gender rights sort of thing, and I go like, wow, okay, because I've never been confronted with that before, and then
I see,
like learning how to mature and deal with that sort of thing.
It's important though. That's good. It sounds like the right kind of change you want. Yeah, I am curious though. I wanted to.
I mean, like,
sorry, go on.
What's that? You go ahead.
Oh no, I was curious because
You go ahead.
Because I wanted to ask you about the painting and how that started. I'm very curious to know when you started doing that.
Well, that kind of happened because I've come from kind of like quite a creative family, and so like my gran was quite well known. Was quite a well known tapestry artist.
Oh, amazing.
And so she was also very highly skilled in like kind of painting. So some of her tapestries were like kind of watercolor paintings that she'd done, and then she'd like paint them on the loom, and go over them using like kind of dyed balls sort of thing. And I mean, I've always been creative, really. I've always found myself, it's just one of those things where ever since age 4, like I've always either been drawing or like writing, or like mean, there was a period in my teenage years where I didn't really like my later teenage years where I didn't really do that many creative things because of I was kind of too embarrassed. I
Okay.
mean,
The
I
ego.
went to like for instance, I went to music college for a few years. So I went to like the Academy of Contemporary Popular Music up in Guildford to study drums
Oh,
because I was like, right, I'm determined I'm going to be a rock drummer. I'm going to be, you know, like kind of. And then I went and studied at Access to Music in Bristol,
yeah.
where I kind of developed like a rap split personality. And so I had like this character called Manic F, and I'd be rapping about like kind of it would always be improvised, but it was always about stuff which I'd personally been through.
Okay.
So I've always seen like kind of music and art to a certain extent as a therapy.
Oh yeah, absolutely is.
Yeah.
It's one of the functions of it for sure.
I mean, like although I did hold the record for scaring off a Sony A&R man in the quickest amount of time
Oh
out of
yeah.
all the people at the college. I think
Do
he
tell.
lasted about
Do
5 seconds.
Do tell. What
Literally. We were having a college gig, you know, like a kind of showcase gig at a place called the Thackler,
Oh yeah. I know
and
the boat.
I think he literally walked in just as I was starting, and it's like the first track I did was a 7.5 minute long kind of really horrifically scary, intense, kind of doom laden kind of like stuff backing tracks made of, you know, like from like found sounds that we put through reverbs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I was on stage in black and white face paint, had like a bottle of tomato ketchup, which I was like taking swigs from, and then like I think it's just the fact that I was just like I think it just generally slightly terrified him.
Yeah. 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 This doesn't sound like the kind of thing Sony would be
No,
intrigued.
I don't think any. To be honest, I don't think any one of the artists on that bill would have fitted with Sony whatsoever.
Yeah. I mean, you never know, but yeah, not. But on paper, probably not. Yeah. Fair enough.
No, to be honest, I was not any. I mean, my whole thing was that whenever I did performances, I would deliberately try to make people as uncomfortable as possible
Yeah. I mean, that's
without actually harming people, but just like going, right, okay, you're going to feel what I feel.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that's a noble pursuit as an artist. I don't think there's anything, I love a lot of the when you talk about making people uncomfortable. I'm a big fan of absurdist comedians, like like Eric Andre or Andy Kaufman.
Yeah.
There's people who just like it's it starts off with wanting to get a reaction, and then it's I mean, it's all about wanting to get a reaction, but it's like wanting to get a laugh, and then it's like, actually, I want to make this uncomfortable. And there's something therapeutic in that too, both for the performer and the audience, in that when you're faced with that kind of discomfort in a performance, you can sort of, it kind of allows or gives space for you to consider yourself in a situation and really kind of look inwards and be like, why am I uncomfortable looking at this person, naked, or whatever it is that the performer is doing? Why do I feel uncomfortable this person coming right into my face?
Well, challenging attitudes as well.
Exactly.
And and I think that but it's also like how that laughter can also be a therapy, because then it can allow people to have like important conversations, or sometimes even being life-saving.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And that discomfort too, the laughter, all of it, it's there is value in it. Absolutely. Yeah.
Because of I say this because of when I was 20 years old, I had a really bad experience with hospital where I had basically appendicitis operation, which went really, really badly wrong. And I ended up spending 3 days in intensive care and in coma.
Wow.
And the thing is, though, is that what did actually help save me was on the second night I was in the intensive care ward. I had like a group of doctors who were working on the night shift decided to put on some entertainment. So they practiced like the Patch Adams theory. They were like, right, okay, how are we going to help him, slow down his breathing, kind of feel more calm? And it's like, right, I know, we'll basically kind of, I can't exactly remember what the nighttime entertainment was, but I remember it having a huge effect on me. Because of like, I was like, I had doctors going, oh yeah, we're going to perform a tracheotomy on him. Then because of what the stuff that the night staff did, the doctors came round and I was sat up bolt upright, giving them the world's most positive middle fingers in their faces, inside my head. Because I was like, right, okay, I was, like almost dying on the, struggling to breathe last night, whereas now I'm sat bolt upright, and it's like, kind of, I'm going to be getting out of here sooner than you think.
Wow.
Sort of thing.
Yeah. Wow.
And I think that art has the ability to change people's attitudes.
It does, yeah. It does. Yeah.
Do you think about like kind of how, I'm just trying to think of this as questions, because I'm making up questions on my head. Because I don't like kind of doing the whole pre-planning questionings and sending them over to people at all.
Yeah. And I understand that, man. Don't worry. No pressure here. Take your time.
Yeah, I was just wondering, do you ever think about, obviously like the concepts behind your songs, how that can seek to maybe inform people?
How that can inform people?
Yeah, or maybe like kind of, maybe, I'm just trying to think of how to put it into words. Like, how do you can convey it in a theme or a tone?
How I can convey a theme or a mood or a tone? Is that what you said? What you mean?
Yeah. So.
How the songs convey that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, sorry for being so wordy.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Wordy is fine. I think. Do I ever wonder about that? I guess I do. When you make a piece and you feel a certain way, I do wonder like how that's going to translate, even if that's going to translate. It's like there's some artistic decisions I'll make that I think, oh, this is funny, but I'm not sure if anyone's gonna, if people don't understand my humor, maybe it's not, and then it's gonna just be a silly thing, and that would be devastating if like I tried to do something out of humor and then it was just looked at as like a stupid thing and not funny. That'd be terrible. So yeah, I guess I do think about that. I can never know how an audience is going to take something. Of course, that's the gamble. That's the thrill of it all, of sharing it out. It's like there's that potential that nobody is going to like this at all. And then there's potential that, oh, this might be like the greatest thing ever. There's always like in every moment of putting something out, both those things are just as possible as each other, but yeah, I mean, I do wonder about it. I don't know if there's any value in wondering too much about it. I think it's more just creating work and letting it speak for itself, and moving on to the next thing. It's
kind of giving it its own legs and like kind of allowing it time to space to breathe as well. I think is very important.
100%. I mean, I like talking about the work I make. I like deciphering it with people, but I always hated like even like doing like the press kits and press releases, and then and then I get asked to like say what this song is about, because because the journalist might be too lazy to just say what they think the song's about. And I write this, and then like I look at all the blog stuff, and then it's just the same posted thing of like, oh, the song
Yeah,
is about this and this, and it's like, really, it's really no. I kind of just wrote that because the label said it's necessary, and it's only
yeah.
necessary because people don't want to really do their jobs. They just want to copy and paste and be like, that's it.
And the other thing is that do you ever find yourself getting stuck with labels that you feel don't apply to you, like as an artist?
Okay. Yeah, for sure. That's happened a lot. In fact, I've complained about that so much, to friends, and even in like interview situations, I've complained about like, oh yeah, like why am I called this kind of genre when I'm not doing that, or like why,
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's a even like it's like, yeah, things get misconstrued, and then but like it's never anything sinister, so I kind of don't
mm,
seem to care. I don't care as much, but maybe I should press for it more of like, I'm not that thing, and
yeah.
don't call me that.
Well, and also the other thing is that I think there's sometimes when people see an image of an artist and it's not exactly what they're expecting, then it's like kind of then they sometimes they do get thrown, or
Mhm.
they do go like, oh yeah, they've got to think of someone who's from either like a certain like racial ethnicity or something. They go like, right, okay, they've got to be like this person. It's like, no, they're not.
For sure, yeah. Like I mean, it's been from like Moses Sumney and Frank Ocean to all these amazing artists, but like I
Mm,
don't, it's like I don't. The correlation isn't really other than like the color of my skin, and that's like that is very off-putting.
yeah.
It's very lazy. You know, um,
So I feel that you personally like within also with a lot of your compositions, you've got just as much in common with like Animal Collective and like maybe Philip Glass as you do with like Moses Sumney and with
probably a lot more
who's it
common
like
with Animal
I
Collective,
mean
Glass,
I
and
bring I think I bring up the Philip Glass one because of your whole attitude towards kind of minimalism.
mm-hmm,
I think so. I think that it's like if whenever I go to put on your music, it's like if right, I'm going right, I'm going to be taking on a journey. I'm going to be taking on something of like kind of like a self-discovery in some ways,
hmm
and I feel that that's probably got more to do with like maybe like your approach to like maybe classical or like kind of do you have like a classical background?
No, I'm self-taught, but I'm all I listen to right now is classical music, and that's I kind of majority of my listening in the past few years has just been classical music. Um, so I'm trying to teach myself in that vein
Mm,
of, oh, how can I, create that kind of music? I'm a big classical music listener, and all sorts
yeah.
of too, all sorts of eras, not just 20th century, but modern stuff, Baroque,
Mm.
medieval stuff, whatever it is. I love a lot of classical, romantic era. But yeah.
I mean, I guess I can like I brought that up because of to me it feels very classical minded a lot of your stuff and
Mhm,
maybe like the way that you approach certain things.
mhm,
And quite often, I see artists who do sort of slightly similar stuff to you, but
mhm.
they've all kind of come from like classical training.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm,
And so
I'm
it's like really interesting to hear someone who's like kind of self-taught,
wanting to
kind
do
of.
this. Yeah.
I mean, like, did you have a lot of like kind of are any of your other family members like musical?
Um. Yeah, ish. Like my mom actually. This is the thing. My mom, when she was younger, she trained for a short while as an opera singer. Uh,
Wow.
yeah, but she was very she stopped that very early in life. In her 20s, she stopped that.
Mm.
Um, my old man, he was in a few bands, played bass. My dad did, and my mother's siblings, some of them were into piano and stuff, but like it was always hobbyish. No one ever took it super
Yeah.
serious, you know. Um, and growing up, it was never really encouraged with my brother and I either. but it was just that innate desire to do something. You know, I wasn't even going to be a musician at first. That, you know, I wanted to, it was a painter and actor. Those were two things I wanted to be growing up. And, you know, but then I just fell in love with abstraction so much, the idea of abstract expressionism and in art. And you kind of realize that music is the ultimate kind of abstract art. It's, you know, you can't, you know, it's the ultimate one. And when I got exposed to deeper things like what Aphex Twin was doing, or like a lot of the jazz musicians, my dad is a big Thelonious Monk fan. So getting exposed to that and seeing, you know, those textures and, you know, just like the things it was making me feel that I couldn't put into words, but they felt more profound and more real than whatever I could put into words. It was like, okay, this is the thing, you know. Oftentimes that's the case where you feel something so strongly, you just can't, you know, you try and say it to the next person and it sounds so mundane in comparison to what it feels like, you know. But then
or sometimes it feels so alien.
Exactly.
Like when you're trying to describe it. I mean, like,
yeah.
I think that, I mean, one of my things which like kind of got me into music was partly going through car journeys and having cassette tapes in the car. And there's a specific few which I remember like kind of playing over and over again. So whether it be like stuff like Annie Lennox or like for me, a big one for me was that my parents' best man at their wedding was like a hip hop and funk DJ from like the 70s and 80s. And so he put together this mixtape which had like African Bambaataa, Grace Jones, you know, like Melly Mel and the Furious Five.
Melly Mel and the Furious, wow.
And I was like, and like, I remember hearing some of it and just like, it really intrigued me because it kind of sounded like space aliens. I was like, wow, you can do this? So you can make these kind of noises?
I see what you're getting at. Yeah, I mean, at that point, I guess it was so alien, right? Like, that was the first time that sort of music was coming into the world in a big way. So yeah, it would have been so.
And that would have been about when did I move to Horsley? So that would have been about late 80s.
Yeah, late 80s, exactly. It's just that's the advent of hip hop, right? And all of that. So, you know, it's late 80s.
Definitely. Yeah. But then also, like, do you ever find that, you know, how you listen to music is influenced by the people who are around you, sort of thing?
How? Yes and no. I feel like because I'm a kid of the internet. So a lot of the music that I fell in love with was through serendipity of just finding it online. Like I remember, you know, I was big when LimeWire was a thing. I used to download these torrents and not know what was on them, and just like, you know, that's how I found Radiohead, was being like 11, 12 years old, and I downloaded this torrent of Kid A, and it was a fake version of Kid A. It was a version where they put the song on top of itself over and over until it became this cacophony. You can still find it online now.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it's called Kid A 17 or something like that. But like that's how I found Radiohead, and like, you know, that was such a alien experience listening to that. But then bringing that to my friendship group at the time, they hated that. So it was, you know, a lot of my listening growing up was like very much just like online, and it felt like it was my world, and I was the only person that was, you know, into that stuff. You know, when I was like, this is like when I was living in Nigeria. It felt like I was the only one into all of that shit. You know, but also I did conform and listen to the same things. Friends like 50 Cent was huge at the time. You know, all that kind of popular rap stuff was huge. Eminem, pop stuff, Justin Timberlake, and all that. Like I did enjoy that, but like the stuff that really got me going in my early teens or just before my teens was the weirdo like torrent stuff that I found online of just, you know.
I think I mean, I'm sorry to interrupt you again, but I think it's amazing because it does I think it's about how personally we find stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we find something that's very personal to like ourselves, then of course we're going to engage with it more and also support the artists a lot more.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
You know, so like when I was going to secondary school, Radiohead were already huge, so my reaction was like, no, I'm not into
No.
that. I was like, but whereas I'd be like kind of having to like buy weekly magazines to find out what the new releases were. So like, so I'd be buying stuff like Kerrang magazine, and I'd be buying. And I really got into bands like Dub War, who were like a kind of crossover metal band sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And they were literally kind of fusing, like kind of dub reggae with metal and with like
Interesting.
kind of hardcore kind of stuff. And I was like, right, I really like this because of, even though people were going on about how experimental Radiohead had, well, and they were, I'll duff my cap to that. But
Most experimental, but they did experimental stuff well, is what I'd say. They weren't deep into, there were still very accessible songs, in that. But anyway, sorry, go on.
But no, but because of like being the angry teen that I was like, right, okay, I like this because of it's got stuff which reminds me of people I loved, like Public Enemy and Cypress Hill, and then like adding to that like heavy guitars, and then also like they had some moments where their singer would do like probably kind of almost Bob Marley style singing, and I just remember seeing one particular performance of them on like ITV when I was about 12 years old, and just go, wow, people could do this.
That's
It's
amazing.
like mind officially blown.
Amazing. Oh man, I wish so I kind of, there's a lot of my favorite stuff is like the pop stuff was from the 90s. I kind of would have liked to just, I mean, I'm not one of those like nostalgic types, but it would be nice to have been around when a lot of the stuff I love now from that era was like coming up. It'd be nice to just see what the atmosphere was like and all that. Go to the shows of, like, when they're first starting out and seeing like what that was like. Quite interesting.
I mean that's the thing, is that I'd say that there's very much a good and a bad thing about nostalgia, and sometimes like when artists release certain records at the time, you may not necessarily be like feeling it.
Oh yeah.
As a sense, and I feel sometimes it's only on reflection that I like some of the music that I like. I mean, I also remember like there's some artists who I'll always kind of go and see and admire as like kind of live show performers, but I may not necessarily buy all their records. So people like Björk, for instance, and I love the fact that you can go to Björk gig and it's like, right, you're being taken into her world.
Exactly.
It's like you're paying kind of top money because of you're paying for a big production, and but you know that I very rarely ever go to like arena gigs, but I would go and see something like that because it's like, right, you're not there, you're not just sitting there, you're going like to go and immerse yourself.
Exactly. It's a different kind of experience, absolutely. And it's a unique one. You're not going to get that kind of experience in a lot of places. So it would be worth just seeing that,
I mean, I was going to ask you, Tony, do you have, like, because obviously, like when we get back into doing shows, so that will definitely happen at some point.
Yeah.
Do you have any specific venues that you're looking forward to playing again?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the spaces I really would love to play, I don't think I'm at that level yet. But yeah, there's a bunch of spots I'm keen on building myself up to get to play, if that's but any like, let me see. I mean, here in London, I really love that Earth venue. I really love the sound in there. It's a favorite. Village Underground too. I really
That's
love.
a great venue. I've actually only ever been there. I've only ever been there once.
Okay.
And that was because I don't necessarily come up to London an awful lot, really, because Bristol gets overly spoilt with the terms of live shows. But the only one time I went there, it was on the launch for Independent Venue Week, which I'm an ambassador for.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
And I'd also been on. I've been out for their like ceremonial launch, and then I've been on Stephen Mack's round table that afternoon, and then we went to go and see Idols for like the multi-millionth time.
Wow!
And I got to see the only time Dev stage dived, who's their bass player, and he's a big guy.
Okay.
I mean, he knocked someone out, so like he had to literally put her in the recovery position.
God,
because of his weight.
Oh God!
But that's a great venue, though, isn't it? It's like you're going into like an underground tunnel.
Yeah. It's I just love how it sounds in there. I saw this is the first time I saw Nils Fram. It was in 2012, I think it was.
Wow, that would have been beautiful.
It was incredible. He did like a joint headline with Kurt Weill, which was very random. But Kurt Weill was amazing too. But it was the first time I saw Nils Fram, and it was like it was that thing of like, oh, I've been taken to, I've come into this person's world, and also this is something that I think is what makes his music the quality it is the attention to the sonic detail. Everything sits well in the mix. Everything sits just as it should in the live show too, which is not something you get with live. A lot of people allow for a lot of mistakes and a lot of rawness, but to have that kind of like precision and still like get across the raw power, like his music and the way he performs is very powerful. Just to get that across was very exciting to see. When I was 19 at that show.
Wow.
19, 20, I think 19 years old at that show. It's very exceptional. Very exceptional.
That's the thing. It's like those sorts of things are the kind of memories which will stay with you.
Exactly.
And so it's like I remember the first time I ever heard like throat singing, or I remember the first ever time I heard like either a loud amplifier or like the first ever time I ever heard even people like, I guess, people who are taking sort of different genres and melding them together. And it's always like that emotional kind of context. And sometimes, because I've got like quite a cinematic memory as well, so sometimes I'll have flashbacks to those experiences. I mean, what was the first gig you ever went to?
I don't think it would probably been anything significant. I think it was Rihanna.
Hey, well, to be honest, Rihanna's freaking great. Would be freaking great performer, to be honest.
I don't think I enjoyed it. I love Rihanna. I think she's amazing. I just don't think I was ready for that. That wasn't the moment that I was meant to see her. Now would be a different story. But then I didn't appreciate it, and it was it was an outdoor thing, and it was too many people. I was way in the back. I couldn't really hear it. It wasn't the best experience. But Rihanna's amazing.
I think. Do you want to know what my first gig was?
Yeah, of course. Please.
Apart from my mum, who used to call in the Cayley band because she used to do like traditional country dancing sort of thing. I went to see E17.
E17.
1994.
I don't know E17. I'm not gonna lie to you. Sorry, you have to educate.
They were like a kind of, well, to be honest, this is showing how probably I'm a bit older than you. Has it been
94? Shit.
Well, 1994. So it was like as if there was a big kind of boy band pop sort of movement, and so it's like on one end you had Take That, so like the squeaky clean sort of thing. Then like E17 were like the kind of edgier boy band version, and they were like a boy band group who were formed out of someone I think literally saw them standing outside a job centre.
Oh wow!
And so they so like when they say working class, they were working class. But it was they were headlining like GWRFM big outdoor events with like kind of loads of other 90s pop icons. So like Backstreet Boys, Michelle Gale, who used to be in EastEnders, definitely before your time.
Yeah, that's
Pato Banton, who's like 90s pop reggae singer.
nice.
We had
Who's
Craig
sorry?
McLaughlin he used to be in Neighbours. Peter Andre.
I know Peter Andre, yeah.
No.
Interesting. Wow.
But yeah, that was me at 11 years old. That was.
I'm sure. Did you have a good time? Did you enjoy that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember having quite a good time because I was 11 years old. And like 17 were running a competition to kind of like meet them backstage by how they appeared on camera. So I was down the front, like kept on pulling middle fingers out, going like, "Yeah, this is cool." Like, okay.
Did you get backstage?
No, of course I didn't. I think they were using it to pick up girls. I think.
Oh
probably.
God. Oh God.
Yeah. Of course. Come on, they're lads.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how I feel about the kind of groupie of music. It's a bit weird.
I find it a bit weird as well, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, I'm all for, have your fun as long as it's not exploiting anybody,
Yeah.
And yeah, that's.
Yeah, I'm 100% with that. Of course. So sorry if I brought that up by accident.
No. It's not. You didn't do anything wrong. It's just like this is the groupie thing. It's just I've heard some weird stories, but also sometimes it's fine. Like I have friends in bands, and friends who go see bands that they love and hang out, and it's great. But yeah, sorry.
I mean, I'm lucky as if in that position. But I mean, I do remember actually at one show, and this was kind of like something which even made all the staff at the venue kind of laugh. It was I was at the Louisiana, which is my favourite venue in Bristol. Pretty much.
I love Louisiana. I'd love to.
It's a great venue.
Yeah, I'd love.
Oh man, it's honestly the amount of amazing shows I've seen in there. Some nights I've not been able to sleep afterwards because of seeing something which has either completely blown my mind or slightly terrified me. And I remember going to see a Catfish and the Bottlemen play there. Very average, middle of the road indie rock band. And there was this woman there who basically she managed to get the gaffer tape after the gig. Gaffer taped her mouth shut. Gaffer taped her wrists together. Basically, she was saving herself to be kissed by the lead singer.
Oh, hilarious!
It's like
hilarious.
This is just weird. Even all the Catfish and the Bottlemen's talk crew were just like, "Oh, yeah, what?"
Yeah.
I mean, like,
I have no comment on that. That's interesting.
No. To be honest, I mean, like, even I was thinking, "You what? Really?
Yeah.
Okay."
Yeah. That's a bit odd.
It
is what it is.
I mean, like, yeah. What should I say next? I mean, but then, like,
take your time.
I mean, so where did you do your first gig?
First show. Good question. I don't remember. God, yeah. How old would I have been? I'd have been 14 when I did my first ever show.
Wow.
And it probably would have been like a rap thing or something. I can't remember where it was. I won't lie to you. I can tell you the first show I remember. It's not the first show I ever did, but I went to a school in Sussex for a bit, and did this like what do you call it? Like it's like a charity event evening thing.
Yeah.
And I did this concert with a samba band, and we did 15 Step with Radiohead song. That was a lot later on. I was 16 when I did that. So a couple
Wow.
of days after my first show, but yeah, yeah, that was fun. That was
I
really
mean,
fun.
have you ever thought about, like kind of doing stuff with other musicians as like a collaboration
Oh yeah, yeah,
in a
yeah.
project?
Yeah, man. I've been since last year. There's so many collaborations I'm doing right now, on the kind of recording side, but
Mm.
also I'm very lucky as well. I'm just surrounded by a lot of very talented musicians. So I'm lucky that I'm starting to get to work with people for the live thing as well,
Mm.
which is very exciting. But yeah, yeah, man. Yeah,
I
definitely. Yeah,
mean, just wondering, like, obviously, like, if you're doing a performance with like a samba band, have you ever thought about, transcribing your songs to suit in with playing with like a samba band or with like maybe like a brass band or something?
for sure, for sure. A lot of the newer stuff is it's a lot more suited for bigger ensembles.
Mm.
Drummer, bassist, maybe string section, that sort of thing. So even like a choral section too. Um, so really, when the stars align and it's time to do that live,
Mm.
it will happen. That's definitely where I want to get to. It's just logistics is hard.
Of
I
course.
don't have a big enough budget to pay everybody that I'd want to get involved, and I'd rather do it right than just do it.
Mm.
But it's coming for sure in due time. In due
I
time.
mean, like, because I can imagine it sounding great with like even with the string section or like just like kind of or even doing a project where you give like songs to other artists and going, right, can you try and reinterpret this for me?
Yeah, or like remixes type thing. Or
Oh, kind of like kind of giving it, just say, right, okay, I want you to cover my song.
okay.
I want you to do it in your style.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Maybe I should consider asking people to do that. I don't know. I kind of
So whether
feel.
it's like
Go on, go
doing
on.
like remixes if they want to do remixes, but then also if they've got like a kind of band sort of thing, just going, right, okay, here's a challenge for you,
Mhm.
because also I think that actually that I find that artists do sometimes quite enjoy a challenge.
Yeah. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
And so like, have you ever approached any other artists in that aspect?
To interpret my stuff, no, not really. I'd much rather just work on new stuff with the artists I like. But that is a cool idea. Again, I think that would make a lot of sense when I start putting out the more song based stuff.
Mm.
I mean, obviously the other ones they're songs, but they're a lot more production focused.
Yeah.
Uh, so when I do the stuff that's more melodic and song based, then I think that would be a lot easier for people to translate in their own way as well, and all of that. Yeah, I'd love to do stuff like that actually.
Cause I feel that, I mean, like, it feels like as if in like you could almost create like a sonic way of doing like Brian Eno had the challenge cards, like the creative so you could almost do like a kind of like a version of that.
Well, you mean like the oblique cards? Is that
Yeah.
the yeah, yeah. A version of that would be interesting. So what, like, give people certain cues and say use these to like rework the track type thing.
Yeah. Or
Hmm.
like give them a word and go, right, you've got to play around with this word, or you've got to play, like, or like maybe even going to visual artists, going, right, okay, I want you to reinterpret this song, but
Mhm.
how you see it when you're listening to it, or like kind of, um, whether you can create something that it's like kind of like an audio visual experience.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, that could be like, yeah, that could be an art installation type thing actually. They could do that live, and for people to see that being done live as well. That could be quite interesting. Okay, I mean, you're giving me ideas. I'm going to think about that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna think
Well, it's
about
definitely, I definitely feel that, because I definitely think that speaking as I can, like, as an artist myself, I'm always inspired by, I did find that, a lot of my painting is created via mood, and then sometimes that's soundtracked by, what I'm playing on the stereo
Hmm.
sometimes, and
Sure, for sure.
I feel that as if you can like giving something else for someone to reinterpret, you'd be
Hmm.
amazed by what may come out.
Yeah, yeah.
So whether it's someone who's doing like kind of like video work, or someone who's doing like either sculpture or painting, or like kind of um yeah, I don't know where I'm going really. I'm a little bit lost in my
No,
trail of thoughts.
I'm just listening. Yeah, no, it's I think opening yourself up to other mediums and other ways of collaborating, it's valuable. It just expands your palette, expands your way of thinking. So yeah, I think that idea you had of like
Mm.
collaborating and interpreting the kind of Eno cue cards, I think that's a cool idea, for an
Yeah,
exhibition, even like for a kind of performance of sorts, even. It could be very
but then
cool.
also, I mean, like, have you ever found yourself being kind of inspired by nature?
Yeah, I mean that's the ultimate. That's the
Yeah.
omega. Yeah, and it doesn't get any better than being in nature. For anything, for
Mm.
peace of mind, for building ideas, for whatever it is you want to do, you can find it in nature. If you open yourself up to it.
I definitely feel so as well. I mean, like, I feel that because I was just wondering, have you ever like kind of played around with found sounds?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I was big on, especially when when I went to my first art school. Get dictaphone out and just go out record sounds. I don't do that as much these days. But yeah, I love that whole. I'm very obsessed these days with space in music, and
Mm.
that found like doing found sounds, field recordings. That's a great way of just like exposing a listener to different spaces,
Mm.
something like Tim Hecker would do very well of like,
Yeah,
yeah, just exposing, and like, it's not only the kind of sonic quality of the music happening, but also the space it lives in. That's, you know, that's as emotional, sometimes even more emotional than like you can be playing the piano chords, but when you put it in a cathedral, the way it
mm.
rings out, it feels very different to if it's in a very closed room. And that gives you, you can be playing the same exact thing in those two different spaces and get very different results.
And
So
different responses as well.
different responses,
I think
exactly.
that, I mean, like, there's a Bristol-based producer who I really love called Kayla Painter, and
Oh yeah, I know that name.
she's incredible. But I mean, like,
That man. Yeah.
yeah, she really met her at Cafe Kino, I think. So I think she
Yeah.
came down to that show,
Okay. Okay.
and
Yeah.
I
Cool.
mean, one of the things which I do love about her is the fact that she will take the found sounds and like kind of blend them up with other electronics. But
Mhm.
I also love playing a game, going like, okay, where did she create the sound from? Going,
Mm,
is this the sound of like someone in a bathtub? Is this the same? Is this the sound of a roll of tape?
mm,
And
mm.
I've actually seen her do performances where she's played with the roll of tape and actually did the whole, like kind of taking, like kind of recording the sample live.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's nice.
So
That's
you just
nice.
like watching it, kind of going like, Jesus Christ, how many sounds are you able to get out of, like
A roll.
even like nearby, household objects?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, but that's everything has pitch. Everything is vibrating
Yeah,
to a certain frequency, so you can manipulate it and utilize it. And yeah, like yeah, what's cool about that is there is the semiotics of it all,
yeah,
right? In that the a sound will trigger a memory, and you like, again, what we were saying about like the emotional quality of space and also of what sounds you're hearing. If you're by the beach and you're hearing a recording of that puts you in that space,
yeah.
um and that's that's a great way for an artist to tell story as well without using lyrics. Just put people in different spaces and different sonic environments, be it like in the forest with bird song, and there's a certain frequency that you hear the wind blow in certain, what I mean? It's very valuable. You're making me want to go make field recordings now.
Yeah, you definitely should, because I think the thing is though, is that
yeah,
sometimes you forget about how even like a lot of the most the way I was thinking about it. I mean, like when we're talking about field recordings, I mean, I think of people like Delia Derbyshire and like how like a lot of music that I've been brought up listening to has been influenced by and large by nature. So whether it be like Delia Derbyshire and Daphne Oram, who did the Doctor Who theme tune, and that was like created by rewinding and winding bits of tape, and just like about like kind of how sometimes we hear records or like the difference between music I like and music which I sometimes don't like is it feels as if it's got a human pulse or like a hands-on sort of feel to it, even with like kind of like electronic music.
Yeah.
And I tend to find that music that I don't like just doesn't really have any feeling to it.
Yeah, yeah. It's a lot harder with synthetic sounds, but that's why artists like Sophie and Arca are phenomenal, because they use very synthetic sounds and generate a lot of emotional value from them. And that's a lot harder to do than like you playing it yourself and being in the moment. You can, it's a lot easier to play a few notes on the piano and generate a lot of emotion than it is to like get that same emotion from a synthesizer. But when people do it, some people do it amazingly well. But yeah, I agree. It was as soon as you feel the kind of the humanity in something, you're immediately drawn closer to it than like, if you're given something that's very mechanical and clean and
it reminds me of like one of my favorite electronic shows I went to was to go and see a guy called Max Cooper.
Yeah, I love Max Cooper.
I saw him. He played at the IMAX cinema in Bristol, which is like one of the biggest screens in Europe.
Nice.
Yeah. Oh, it was phenomenal, because I think that definitely blew my mind, because of that took me 3 hours to calm down afterwards.
Yeah, and imagine
I was just like, because of
imagine vision,
the way that he was also using the visuals to tell the story.
Yeah,
it's like the story of humanity and like the build up and breakdown, and it managed to kind of also challenge things about mental health and about different environments. And then like you just like watching him, just like I spent the entire evening afterwards not being able to sleep, because I was just like, my brain's just processing all these emotions.
Yeah. That's what it's about, man. That's what it's all about.
And it's like I had one of my friends was supporting him, who's Rival Consoles. Was supporting him
I play with Rival Consoles.
Yeah. It's really, I mean, like, and it was like really amazing, like how. Well, I really like sometimes. This is going to sound like really randomly, as I really like it when you have lineups of artists who are kind of vaguely similar but also very different.
Yeah, I would say their work is quite different,
Yeah, you can see how they loosely fit together.
Yeah, I can. They're a lot closer than not, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
but like I can see,
definitely.
The work still there's they're not doing the exact same thing. Yeah.
No, anyway, dude, I think I'm going to shoot off in a minute, but it's so lovely to see you, Tony.
You too.
I hope you're doing well, my friend.
Yeah, man, I'm well, and I'm so happy to see your face and just talk.
Yeah, man.
It's been lovely.
I know. It's been.
I'm
gonna try, because I haven't done one of these in quite a while. So
okay.
I'll be like, whoa, this has gone well.
Yeah. I'm glad. This was good. I said I'm looking forward to being able to get a hug from you soon, man. I
know. I'm missing hugs as well.
Yeah.
I think that's actually one of the things I'm missing the most, has been like kind of
Just
I mean, I've been getting hugs from my parents, and that's one thing.
yeah,
But like kind of,
from
but
friends.
also kind of, I know that when it is safe to get hugs, I'm probably going to end up with the orgy, like a massive pile on of hugs, people running from all directions.
Yeah, that sounds like fun.
Yeah, it could be
Yeah,
potential fun. It will definitely be potential.
yeah, potential, definitely.
Yeah.
Right then, man. Thank you so
Love
much.
to see you, Tony.
You too,
Take
man.
care, buddy.
You too, man. You
See you
too.
later. Bye
Yeah.
bye.